Oh, hold on. Let's get this other
You don't have
earring
to
back
do it
in.
like that.
What'd you say?
God knew what he was doing, not giving me hair. If I could do my little L'Oreal commercial, I mean not L'Oreal. What's the hair the damn the conditioner that come in the box, the commercial that we always see back in the day, the block the box of the conditioner and the little treatment, and then it would always be the black woman doing her hair like this.
Oh, oh my God. Oh,
Name of that. What is the name of that? And then when you go in the stores, you see the boxes with the little girl with the curls, or the
that's
younger
just
one.
just for me. Just
Is
for
it
me is the little curls.
okay? I was talking about the one
But
back in
what's
the day with the
the
box.
yeah, okay.
You had
You
all
taking me
the
way
little
back.
toolkit.
I'm gonna be on Google looking for it in a minute.
Damn, I know when I when I see it, I'm gonna be like, damn, that's the box I was thinking of.
I'm,
I'm Rob,
I'm Taylor,
and
and
this is
this
the
is
very much so
not again. Okay, see. Okay, okay. Cut.
episode 2. We already fuck it up. Actually, did we? Because I
We
know
did
the
it right last time, but that first try,
oh honey, that first try didn't give it.
no, it gave
It gave
behind the scenes. It gave unedited.
it gave discount, not full price. Very much so. Um.
All right, let's try this again.
Ooh, okay. I'm Rob,
And I'm Taylor.
and this is the Very Much So podcast. So this is episode 2. If you have not seen the debut episode of the Very Much So podcast, please go back and watch that. You get to learn more about who we are, learn why we started this damn thing, and get into the gagiana of our stories with coming out.
Yes, okay. It was a key, but it also was a good conversation.
Well, I am doing very well. I'm excited to be here. This is now becoming like my one of my release moments of the week, being able to be here with you and talk with the people. But it's I mean it's been a rough time just with work and adjusting with school. I was telling one of my coworkers today that like senioritis in grad school just hits different. I mean, girl,
I'm glad that you're doing well, other than, grad school trying to take us out every other day.
baby,
Um
me in a choke has me in a chokehold.
yeah, I'm trying to get free. I'm elbowing back. I'm trying to put in some self-defense moves, but yeah, I'm doing really well today.
Love that.
I have really been focusing on this semester, trying to get into a better morning routine. I think that I was pretty good with my morning routine during the first part of the pandemic when there was like actual lockdown, and like I first got Zuri, and I would just get up and go walk and like meditate and journal and do a devotional and all these things in the morning. And I have not been doing all of that before needing to like be at work at 8:30 in the morning. And so I've been trying to get back into it, and I felt really successful today. I did snooze.
Oh
I'm a work in
yes.
progress. I did snooze. I got back in the bed for a little bit, but it was a really good day, and it's nice outside. And I'm excited to be here to talk with you,
Mhm.
to share some more stories. And yeah, I'm ready to feel the like joy and laughter and also connection, I guess, that I'm able to feel whenever we come together and talk. So
Yes, I love that.
let's get into the things. I know like my voice like settles, and I feel like it sounds like I'm getting all serious, but like emotionally, I'm like, so I'm gonna work on that because I feel like I just got real like that was an ebb, right? Yeah,
Girl,
because the
you had
flow.
me in a trance.
So, Rob,
Yes.
um, Tell me, when did you know it was not the career for you?
Oh,
Hmm. What's the first one that came to mind? Because you might have more than one.
oh, I definitely have more than one. Honey, the first one alone tried to take me on up out of here. Okay, I was almost 6 feet
Good.
deep. Okay, um, the first time was the unfortunate experience that so many of us know is whew, when when pre med chin checks you, honey. I and luckily I caught it early on. I was after my first semester of freshman year, I was like, nope, not giving. So that was the first time when I knew that that career as going through that whole pre med track, being a doctor. I wanted to be a neuroradiologist. I don't know who the fuck told me to do that, but I was really trying to
Okay.
give all
Yeah.
those things,
Okay,
and then
neuroradiologist.
I was trying to give that, and then
Yeah.
Gen Chem, math, life in general told me to have a seat.
I can actually like super relate to that story. As you said, some of us can relate. I also was pre-med as, my little, like, as a fetus walking on to Vanderbilt's campus. Thought that I was gonna major in bio. Once I got to campus, I was like, maybe more like MHS, right? So I knew by the time that I got on the campus it wasn't gonna be bio. But yeah, I
Mhm,
wanted to be an OBGYN. And that dream was like really cute. It was
absolutely.
cute. It was very cute. Honestly, my mom is probably still terrified and annoyed at the fact that I'm not a doctor. But I think I remember the exact moment that I knew pre med was done for me.
Okay.
Well, that I remember the moment when I first started to consider that pre med was done for me, and I remember the moment when I was like, "Yep, nope, that's it." My first moment was, as you said, in Gen Chem.
Oh,
I first off, just the funny, like, just to set the context, right? So,
mhm,
day one of Gen Chem, it's a Tuesday, 8 a.m. They really were trying to set us up to fail. But Tuesday, 8 a.m. class, I'm walking into oh my God, what's the building at Vandy where all the science Stevenson.
Stevenson.
I'm walking into Stevenson with some of my friends, and I'm like, ooh, y'all, I gotta sit on the front row. Y'all know I don't do mornings. I'm gonna fall asleep if I don't sit on the front row. I fell asleep the first day on the front row.
Not day one.
Day one, friend. My attendance record as a percentage probably directly correlated to my average in the course. I think I could count on one hand the amount of times I went back to that class after that.
After the
So
first
after the first one, I could count on the amount of, I can count on my hand. Zuri.
niece, quiet on set.
Here's when I knew. Here's when I knew that pre med wasn't it. I was in Common Center and in the like fireside lounge.
Hmm.
And I was studying with probably three other people. Shout out to Liz. I know Liz was there. Maybe Yasmin, a couple other people who were also on this journey.
Okay.
We're studying like it's really close to finals, like a couple maybe 5 days before the final exam. And
Okay.
our professor had given us, ooh, Grace Zurab. She had given us this little sheet of like 1 through 5, how you could best prepare for the final at this point. So of course it
Hmm.
starts like do your practice problems. Number 5 is read TRO, TRO. And I'm like, what is TRO? I missed that. I ain't been in class. Maybe that's a magazine. Maybe it's an article. Like what is TRO? So I look
Hmm.
and I'm like, y'all, like, what's this one talking about? What's Tro? And I remember Liz's face just being like so bewildered. Like she was like so confused. What do you mean? What's Tro? So I'm like, why are you looking at me like that? This I don't know. Please help me. She said, Taylor, really? That big ass chemistry book that you've been looking around on campus all year, all semester? I said, see, that's where you're wrong. I've cracked the spine of that book like 5 times. And that's when I knew it would never work for me. That's when I knew it was not the career for me. There was no way that I was going through 4 more years of this on campus, another semester, and then 3 more years of science, then have to go through 4 years of medical school, then multiple years of residency. Like, you're always going to be in school. It was not going to work for me.
Nope. Nope.
And I don't like bodily fluids. I don't like people to complain about their pain. Like, I don't think it was going to work.
I agree. I mean, maybe maybe you would have had you.
Maybe if I knew how to study, maybe if I was committed, maybe if I got up and went to class. Like,
But you know, my mom actually was the one that had to bring me down to reality. Because you know, when they send the mid semester, what is it? Not is it discrepancy reports? I think it's.
basically. Yeah, I got
And
one of them too.
and I didn't know that they send them to the parents as well. So, so I'm going through, I got backpack. I'm going through my daily life. Like, okay, I'm gonna get through this. We're gonna be fine.
Okay, Dora.
I'm going through. I'm actually in Stevenson Library talking to some friends, and I get a call from Mama Lee, and she was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "Hey, Mama, I'm doing good. I'm gonna had a good day." Blah blah blah, and she was like, "Um, so I saw, like, they sent me your discrepancy report. Like, you want to talk about this chemistry class?" Girl, I was gagged. I could have fell out on the floor right then and there because I
Not
didn't.
to hit you with, do you want to tell me about?
It's like I already know.
You
We can
already
have.
know. Like,
I
what
was
more do I need to say? I'm struggling.
right. The report says it all, actually. But luckily,
Man, how did that go?
it was good. She was not like she was never the type of parent to be like pressuring me about my academics. She just wanted me to do something that I really like loved doing. But it's just like over the years, that pressure compounds of hearing like, you need to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever. This is the creme de la creme of professions. And that's what signifies you as a quote unquote smart person. So over the years, you like, I gotta do this thing.
Yeah.
And she told me, she was like, if this is not working, you can end this now. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to keep these classes. You can stay, because look, by the grace of God, I was already in HOD. So she
Okay.
was like, you don't have to keep taking these classes next semester. You can just figure it out from here.
Oh, that's so cute that she was supportive because Francis, mm-mm.
He wasn't given that.
Francis was not giving. Okay, baby, no. She said, "What do you mean? Are you sure? I don't think that you've thought about that long enough. Like, maybe you're being fickle. Like, if I told Francis today that I
Mm,
was applying to go to med school, when I tell you she would throw a party,
really?
she, she might buy me a new car. I told her I was going to med school. It wasn't that she was trying to be like mean or anything like that, but I do think that she honestly thought that I was just giving up because chemistry was hard, not
Mm,
because like I realized that it was not a career that I wanted, right? At that point in time, I had done all of this thinking, right? I had searched to think about what major I would transition to. I
mhm.
was talking to people about potential career paths and things.
Yeah.
But so I can understand why she may have thought, at 18 years old, I was hastily making a decision that I might regret later on.
Mhm.
And she fought me tooth and nail whenever I was like, no, I'm not taking chemistry second semester. I'm not. She was like,
Oh, so you ended
Are
after the
you
first
sure?
semester as well?
Yeah, no, I was done. I was done. I don't even remember what I took that second semester because I don't think that I started any HOD classes until sophomore year, but I could be wrong.
Okay, gotcha.
That's so crazy. We were both pre-med dreamers
Hmm.
turned human and organizational development graduates. Shout out to
Yes,
HOD, man. I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for finding it. So,
yes, honey.
oh,
We're happy to welcome
okay.
you.
Say that again.
I said we were happy to welcome you,
Well,
even though
thank
you were
you.
there before me. Because anyway, what was another
Okay.
one for you?
Oh God.
Well, have you gone through phases or well? I know. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I do. I have another one. So OBGYN, MD doctor was the first career that I realized was not for me.
Hmm.
The second, mm, 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 K-12 teacher. Um, so after graduating from Vandy, I moved to New Orleans and started teaching through Teach for America, and I was teaching high school math. And honestly, I enjoyed a lot of it. A lot of the role. I enjoy working with students. I love like seeing their like bright lights. Whenever they figure something out that they didn't know before. I
And you did
also
it for a
like
while.
say that again.
And you did it for a while.
Yeah, I did it 3.5-ish years, something like that.
Right.
Until the pandemic. And then I was out of there to lockdown. But and I like facilitating lessons. I love a little presentation. So there were definitely things about teaching that I enjoy, and I think that that's why I think that I will be not only a lifelong learner, but probably a lifelong educator of some
Mhm.
sort as well. But K-12 teaching, it wasn't it for me. I remember the moment that I
Mm.
knew that I could not remain in the position that I was in for much longer. It was our first day back after winter break. My second year teaching, and we were sitting in PD, and like you come in and you're like, oh, we get a teacher work day. Kids aren't here today. You're not like super excited, but you're rested from break, and it's supposed to be happy go lucky. And then we start looking at the data. We're looking at the end of semester exams and practice test data, and where were students last year, and have they grown, and what are the
Mhm.
interim assessments looking like. And I was the algebra 1 teacher. First off, my first year teaching, I was supposed to have a co-teacher, and it was really no one's fault necessarily that I ended up teaching by myself. But and I think that I did the job pretty well.
What grade?
Ninth grade, my first year.
Right.
Yeah, so ninth grade math, algebra 1, and it's a tested subject. You have an end of course exam at the end of the year,
Mhm.
and you have to pass the end of course exam to graduate. So it's a high priority test, right? Like it can be really stressful for students and for teachers, because then whether or not you get raises and the rubrics and all these other things are also tied to student performance, school performance scores, whether you're an A, B, C, D, F. So I remember just sitting in that room, and even though my students had been performing pretty well, we weren't where my students had been in my first year teaching.
Mm.
um, and some of that was differences in where they came in. Some of it was differences in curriculum. Some of it was like I was tired and worn down. Like I probably wasn't my best. But I just remember looking at the scores and being like, I can't feel this type of feeling that I feel right now
Mhm.
anymore. Right. And like, I didn't like that pressure and that anxiety that I felt about student performance. I feel very strongly about student performance, and I'm still working in education, and I still think that it's important to look at the data, right? You should make data driven decisions, for sure. But I was like so nervous about it. Like I like couldn't sit still. Like I was like
Mhm.
overwhelmed with the anxiety around it. And I think, Rob, like what really like it, I got pissed off
Mm.
because I had so many students who didn't know the difference between a debit and a credit card, who struggled with their multiplication tables, who were going through like real life stuff. Why are you absent every day? I'm literally like working a job trying to take care of my grandmother. And not that their circumstances were an excuse, but it made me so mad that what I was being graded on, what they were being graded on, was whether or not they could solve a quadratic equation and whether or not they could solve a system of linear equations. And, like, cool, I like the math. I think that that's great, but I have not solved a linear equation other than being a teacher since I took that class in high school, right? Like when
Right.
you solved the linear when you did slope y equals mx plus b, slope intercept form, standard form, point slope form. I don't even remember point slope form, and I'm a math teacher.
I
Like
was like, what the voice up for him?
right, like I'm gonna Google that. So it made me so mad because I was like, the stuff that we test for is stupid. I'm sitting over here so stressed about whether or not these kids are going to pass this test because it will determine whether or not they graduate, which will determine whether or not they get into the colleges that they want to go to, or the trade programs, or the jobs. And I'm mad because they're not going to ever have to use this, but they're missing vital knowledge that they need about life. How do you file taxes? Why don't you get the credit card your first week on campus? Like, what is an APR?
Right.
How do you buy a car? Like, so many how do you change your own oil? How do you change a tire? Like, these are life skills that we really need, and American education just really bypasses all. It's just like, nope, all the things that you actually need to live.
Right.
No, we don't care about that.
They
But
say you'll get there.
you're gonna know sine, cosine, and tangent.
In the chat, save it. We're not talking about mathematicians. We're not talking about people trying to study to be professors in math.
Engineers, arrow, you right? Like, no, of course you need. I want my engineers to know sine, cosine, and tangent. I want the people building my buildings. I want.
Building my buildings.
Like the bridges. I don't really like bridges. That did you see? There's like a large percentage of American bridges that are not structurally sound, and I just try not to. I'm gonna have to look that stat up, and I'll give it to you and the people on our next session. But anyway,
I did not know that.
I'm not saying that math is not important. I do believe that math is important, and I teach it, all of these things. I just also don't think that the end of course exams, as they are the end all, or should be the end all be all for student graduation from high school.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the stats, like very few students from public high schools are then going on to be aerospace engineers, or anyway.
Oh, because you mentioned that that was the second year. So how did you
Mhm.
get through the third year, knowing
Mm.
that it was not the right one?
Yeah, you ask good questions. Come here.
Niece, quiet on set.
Come here. Let me get that. Okay, so I had to take her toy, so she may come over here in a minute. But that's a great question. So I changed subjects and grade levels. So in my second year teaching, I was an Algebra 1 teacher, and I was the ninth grade level chair. And in my third year teaching, I moved up to be an Algebra 2 teacher and the 11th grade level chair. So I actually got to loop back and teach the students who I taught my first year teaching
Uh,
again. So I got to
yeah.
see them as juniors, and that was really beautiful. And Algebra 2 is an attested subject. So I had a little bit more autonomy in curriculum choices. We got to do a personal finance unit at the end of the year. And I got to like focus on ACT math, which, who, don't get me started. I don't like the ACT either, but I do think that that some of the problems more align to like real world experiences and things that go on. So it wasn't the worst. I did like ideally I would have liked to have done there what I'm doing now, right? Like
Mhm.
coaching, managing, all of that. But I didn't like being in one building from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week either. And so I needed more flexibility. I needed yeah, I needed something different, basically, I'll say.
So now, where do you see it going? Now that we're in the program, we're about to graduate. Where do you see this new phase of your career going?
Ooh, yeah, that's good. I think for now it's
Oh wait, I have a better question.
ooh,
What does the right career look for you now in this phase of your life?
okay, that's a great question. Right now I think that it looks flexible. So semi-hybrid is what I think that I'm interested in. So I like one thing that I've noticed with the job that I'm working now is that I miss having coworkers, right? I do miss like being able to go into an office and, do my own work, but laugh and chill, and have lunch with other people. 'Cause right now I'm a manager, but it's basically like me, one colleague, and the 8 people that I manage, right? It's not a bunch of other coworkers here.
Mhm,
So I do think that the next career for me definitely looks like hybrid, where I can go in and like interact with coworkers and have that time that the extrovert in me really needs,
mhm,
but also time to like go to a coffee shop, to grab lunch with a friend, to go to a doctor's appointment, right? Things that were so difficult, if not impossible, while I was teaching, right? You're in the building from 7 to 5. You might have an hour, maybe an hour and a half in there where you're not obligated to be watching children. So,
mhm.
unless there's something to eat right around, or unless you live really close, you're not really doing much between 7 and 5 outside of the building. So I do think that I need that flexibility of being able to choose where I work at times, while also being able to like interact with people and talk, because clearly I like to do that. Um, I think it also looks like managing of some sort, right? I do enjoy being a manager. I enjoy helping other people learn and grow. And on that note, I think that for the next few years, I will definitely be entertaining coaching. Right now, I'm really enjoying instructional coaching, but I'm also taking this executive coaching class, so I'm interested in executive coaching as well. And then I think that there has to be a time before I get to do what I really want to do where I consult. I just think it has to
Ah,
happen. I think that that's a skill set that I really am interested in building further. I got a little taste with Elevate Consulting last summer, as their summer intern. Y'all check them out. They're hiring. Elevate Consulting. Shoot me an email, DM me, all that other stuff. But and they're not supporting us. That was not an ad. It was just
oh, we are. We are.
it's just that I like them, and so I'm shouting them out. But I got a little taste, and so I do think that I have to consult at some point. But I think that that's a little bit. I think that's after some more experience in coaching. So yeah,
Mm,
I kind of answer both of your questions.
I love it.
Have you had since HOD, and kind of finding your home away from home with that? Have you had other experiences where you realized it was not the career for you?
Oh my God, so many. I think
Okay.
at like you after the whole pre-med uh explosion, I went through so many different ideas and phases. Like after that, I thought about going into health administration. I thought about
Mm,
going into um HR specifically within healthcare. I think after I really spent a lot of time staying focused on healthcare because again, I have been
mm,
socialized to think that that was the industry I needed to be in for stability and coin. So I was like
mm.
anything within healthcare. Um and when I was a senior and did our HOD capstone, I did an internship that was in HR within healthcare at the Vanderbilt Medical Center. And but the what I learned was that within HR there were so many different like teams and departments and topics and like pillars that I was like, oh, this is a whole nother buffet option that I'm seeing. So
Not
I
platter,
oh, it was given
multiple
platter.
sides.
Right, right. So then I started exploring that specific capstone was really pivotal for me because it helped me like try to define specifically what I was looking for at that time, which was more so I've never been interested in consulting, but it was
Mhm.
more so within like performance management, org development, that whole space.
Okay.
Um yeah,
So, help. Okay. So, just for a little bit of my clarification, I think I know from talent management, but also for the folks listening, you said performance management. Could you
yeah.
just speak a little bit more to what does that actually look like? Because I think that that's one thing about OD, org development, and
Mhm.
talent management that sometimes like have me like in, oh my gosh, I'm thinking of the meme of Mr. Krabs where it's blurred. um but there's a lot of jargon. So what actually does performance management look like?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it actually is a different context than what I think people would initially think of.
Mm,
Within the context of that capstone, it was looking at their performance management system. So when you think of performance reviews, annual reviews, all of that, it was more so analyzing the process of the user experience for
okay.
their employees. And because no, I don't know anybody that loves doing a performance review. So we were thinking about ways to take out all the unnecessary steps or where things were not
Mm,
getting them to their desired point, which was getting more clarity on how their employee feels working in the organization. Are they meeting the goals? Do they know the goals? And do they know the right processes for their specific department? So that's what I mean by performance management, just from
okay.
the perspective, not so much like I think people also think of it when they think of talent acquisition and kind of like
Mm,
the the performance of from like a task or job like are you doing your job, but this was more so like I guess kind of technical of like looking at the application itself and seeing okay how does this serve their goal.
okay. Thank
Mhm.
you for sharing. And so that was your capstone.
Yes, yes.
And how did you feel about that?
Oh, I loved it. I love the team. It was also just nice being able to not be in classes and being able to go to a job every day and do that whole 9 to 5 thing. Again, this was
Mhm.
pre-COVID, so this
Yeah.
was the norm still. So I was, oh my god, I love this, and so I really enjoyed it. And after that, I got into a fellowship on campus that was like a rotational program that was on the business side of Vanderbilt. So we worked in a I worked in athletics, campus dining. I did some HR projects, worked in financial planning and analysis. So they picked and plucked me into all different types of
Okay,
places.
Corey. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So it was really good until it wasn't. And that
Mm,
was when the pandemic hit because
okay.
all the work stopped and went to a halt. And then that's what got me to thinking, like I mentioned on the first episode of like quarantine really helping me with kind of coming to terms with my identity. I
Yeah.
started to realize all the person that I had created with the list of things that I would like, and I was like, I don't actually like these things. Like, what do I
Mm.
really want to do? So it really started the next phase of trying to figure out, like, trying to connect um what I love to do with a career, because before it was just defined as the thing that makes you money, that what'll make you the money that you'll like semi like to do, just a
Yeah.
job. But then after, then during quarantine and after, I'm like, no, like I I am allowed to turn the things that I love into a career, and not look at it
Mm.
as a job. So that's what started the phase that I'm currently in.
Tell us
I just,
more. Tell us more. What are you
yes.
passionate about? What's yeah, what are those things that you love that you're turning into a career?
Yeah, so I love, well, first of all, you know this. I love cooking and I love food. I
Yes.
think before I used to look at it as, oh, I'm just big and like to eat. But it was really beyond that. It was more so my fascination with cooking and food and different
Mhm.
cultures, different flavors, different all of that, and just really desiring the time and space to explore all of that. So that's
Yeah.
been my biggest passion. Even when I look at my childhood, that's been my biggest
Yeah.
passion. I also love connecting with people. I love to listen and hear people's stories and be a networker and also be a listener and an observer. So I love
Mm.
those things as well. I'm also like a detailed process person, which kind of when I think back to my capstone, I kind of see how I misdirected that, because I was like, "Oh, I love HR, I love performance management," when it was really the process part that I really enjoyed,
Mm.
not so much the industry or the topic itself. Um,
Yeah.
so now that I've been, finishing up this program, initially, like, really no shade, when I started the second year, I kind of was like, I did this program for no reason, because I was
Ooh.
realizing that it wasn't like my initial intention doesn't match my intention now. Like,
Say
w-
more. What is your so yeah, I'll leave it there.
yeah, when I first got into the program and came there, I really was using it as another buffer, honestly, because I was
Mm.
like, the rotation, the fellowship that I did, it didn't give anything that clicked for me. Maybe this program will, and I'll get another degree out of that. It'll make me more competitive, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and it'll lead me into another job or something within HR that will
Yeah.
fix all of this,
Okay.
still ignoring what my real passions were. And so now that I'm finishing, I mean, I still don't feel that way now. I don't feel like I did it for nothing, because I got to connect with you and other friends and professors and other opportunities that have helped me grow as a professional. But now I'm looking at how I can leverage those experiences to what I want to do now. For me now in this next phase, I know that what I really want to do is combine food and connection into a career,
Mm.
um, where I can be able to make storytelling through food and connection and conversation like a career. Like, that's where I thrive.
Because where I thrive is right here across the table from someone sharing an idea, right? Like I get giddy and I'm like, oh my God, let's put a plan to it. Let's figure out
Yeah.
what we need. Let's get a project plan. Let's get a Gantt chart, you know? And so yeah, I feel that. I agree though that my intention coming in is not, my intention coming out,
Mhm.
coming out of the program. But I do feel like it was beneficial. And I don't think that I would have gotten to where I am and what I feel like I want to do right now had I not have been in this program, learning the things that I'm learning, connecting with
Absolutely.
the people I'm connecting with.
Mhm.
So that's exciting, but I do think that it's so difficult, especially coming from families who like who's going to tell you not to be a doctor, right? But also like but
Right.
also families, with high expectations for us to like be the people who break generational curses and
Yes.
finish degrees and do all of these things. It it can be difficult to get to a place where you're like, I can't keep living for other people. I can't keep denying
Yes.
myself what I really feel happy about and passionate about and good and at peace with, right? I
Right.
can't deny myself those things because someone else said that I should do this, or because someone else is looking at me to be an example for other people, or whatever the case may be.
So true.
And I think that especially comes up with people of color and creative endeavors, right? Like, one, there's a lot of us who have big hearts and big passions and big gifts, big talents,
Right.
right? But struggle or don't have the access to knowledge and business acumen like what we've been able to get through our program to
Hmm.
be able to make it profitable long term. I think there's a flip side of that, and I talked to you a little bit about it. So maybe we'll have to bring this on in our next episode. But I also think about, I don't think that you should have to monetize your passions, right? I think that you should be able to like keep some things just for yourself and just be able to enjoy them and not feel like you have to add labor to it. But I also strongly push against the notion that we can't be successful in creative careers. And I think
Ooh.
that's where my career has taken me, right? Is to
Yes.
helping people be successful in the careers of their dreams, right? Like,
Mhm.
and not the like, oh my gosh, it's my dream job because I said it when I was 6. But no, seriously, like when you lay down and you're at peace, what do you think about? What do you dream about? What do you want to be doing? If
Mhm.
money didn't matter, if no one else was watching, what would you want to do in this life? And like, how can we create that right now?
Right. I
Um,
think it's also important to recognize that that can change as well. Like life doesn't stop. Like we continue to evolve and change interests, change things.
yeah.
So like I might love food and cooking now, but it might be different at 35 or 30 or whatever. So like allowing that to be normalized. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a shift right now.
No, seriously, I think that one thing that I'll say, and I know we're going to have to wrap up soon, but it really brings me back to I hate this question. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh,
I honestly think that that question is like a large majority of the of the reason why I am having this conversation with you today about these
yes.
careers that weren't for me, right? Because you start asking kids as soon as they can talk, as soon as they can dress up for Halloween or for Spirit Day, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I don't mean it in that kids shouldn't have dreams and aspirations.
Hmm.
But I think that a better question, at least for me, would have been, what are the things that you want to do with your life?
Hmm.
What do you want to do before you die? Or, like, maybe you don't necessarily have to bring death in it, but, like, while you're living, while you're alive, while you're on earth, what are the things that you want to do? Because even if your ultimate dream is to be the CEO, founding CEO of an organization that becomes Fortune 500, or, whatever, you're
Hmm.
going to have probably at least 5 other positions before then, between graduating high school and or college to getting into the career that, is your dream job. You're going to have so many positions and you're not going to like all of them.
Yeah.
And they're not all going to be the perfect fit. Like, literally, it's going to be very much so not the career for me
Right.
at
Right.
different points in your life. And I would feel so devastated sometimes whenever I would be like, no, I don't want to do this anymore, or I felt fickle, or I felt like I didn't know myself, like all of these other things. And actually, like, no, we need to normalize, like, you can be a lot of different versions of yourself, with a lot of different interests over
Yeah.
the course of your life. And and you can plan and prepare to be able to make those transitions. Um, but it's difficult to do that when you go your whole life thinking, oh, I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be an engineer. What else? I want to be a teacher. All of these
Mhm.
careers that I want to be a nurse, all these careers that you hear a lot about.
Yeah.
Like whenever you're younger, it can be devastating whenever you get into it and you feel like you're failing.
Hmm. That's so
Like
true.
it's hard to come back from that. And it's hard to then believe like, okay, well, like, why am I going to leave this to like maybe make less money? I could just do this, like for a while, it'll be fine. Like after a while, you make so many withdrawals.
Hmm.
Are you putting things back in? Are you depositing back into yourself?
Oh, come on, evangelist. Yes.
Hmm. I'm excited for us though. I think that it's been a journey,
Mhm.
and I hope that people listening, who can relate will comment and share some of their takeaways and some of their learnings from um, finding the career for you by finding out what's not for you.
Hey,
Because
very
figuring
valid.
out what's not helps you get closer to what will work. But also hope that people who are going through this now um, find some solace in knowing that one, the market is hot, baby. Everybody's looking for somebody to work. So don't settle. You do not have to settle right now. Keep looking. But also that this road is winding. It's not linear. It is not easy peasy point A to point B. I think that's probably one reason that I wanted medical school, right? That I wanted to be a doctor. The
Yeah.
path to it seemed linear. It
Right.
seemed logical. Um, and finding out something that's not the career for you can feel everything but.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I hope that people will comment and share things with us and ask us questions, about our experiences um, or tell us things that they're experiencing. I'm very interested because I do think that we have to start normalizing um, exploration in careers as
Yeah.
well as like just talking about the different things that actually happen or the things that you actually have to go through to get into these careers, because no one ever was like, okay baby, do you understand what being a doctor means? No one was no one ever told me, girl, you got to smell smelly cadavers, like all this other stuff. Like I might should have guessed that might should have come to mind, but like, well, nobody telling me that stuff. Like, we
Right.
got to start talking about what does it mean to work in HR? What does
Yeah.
it mean to be a doctor? I'm thinking about doctors a lot today. One, as we just talked about our dreams, but also because it was just match day, and so many people made it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was so proud.
Yes.
But there was not a single ounce of jealousy or envy there. Like, no,
Ooh,
y'all
ooh.
got that, and that's how I know that was very much so not the career for me.
And we're gonna end it right there. Like, oh, we can talk about this all day, no shade. But I enjoyed this conversation. I think it was great to hear some of the details in your story that I didn't know before, just
Yeah,
about your
same to
journey with it.
you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. For everybody listening, please comment and share where you are at right now with your career. Are you in? Have you found the right career for you? And if so, what was that journey like? And if you're not, what tips or steps are you taking to get there or find solace, as Taylor mentioned, in that journey? Um,
Oh my gosh, your questions are much better than mine. I'm putting you on the questioning. That was good. Yes, y'all, comment. Slide in our DMs. Tell us the
yes,
things.
absolutely. Oh my God, that's a good idea. Put in our DMs if there's anything interesting. we will bring it up in our episodes and shout you out.
Yes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Well, this has been so great. I'm excited for where we're heading in our careers and for our conversations to come.
Yes, yes, y'all. Be on the
Yes.
lookout for our next episode. I'm sure we will post about it. But for now, check us out on all podcast platforms. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We will be having all the clips, some a little exclusive things, little behind the scenes here and there. And yeah, come on, we building the family